Hey, what's going on? It's playoff picture time. Elliot Harrison here, and this is what it would look like in the AFC if the playoffs started today. And don't fret, I'm going to show you the NFC as well, and I'm going to give you the top 5 most important games this week in each conference as they pertain to the playoff picture. And I haven't used pertain since high school, but check that out. And we're looking at the rematches here, and I tell you what, Chiefs-Texans, boy, that game had so much drama last year until the opening kickoff. But Dolphins-Steelers, they would play if the season ended today, and they did play earlier this year. Now, it would be Dolphins at Steelers. This game was at Miami, and this was the game that we were all introduced to who Jay Ajayi could be when he went off. But not only that, Ben Roethlisberger did not look good, and that has been a theme for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Ben Roethlisberger not looking good on the road. This was a very bad part of the season for Pittsburgh. And when Miami really started to get on their run, which they have continued with Matt Moore at quarterback, we'll see if they can continue to do it from there. All right, NFC, as promised. All right, season ended today. They're your bye teams, Cowboys, Seahawks. 6th seed would be the Packers. They'd play at Atlanta, the 3rd seed. Those teams played earlier this year. 5th seed versus the 4th seed, Giants at Lions. And you know what? We just saw that, although the location was reversed. It was Detroit on the road playing at New York. And unfortunately for the Lions, they could get nothing done offensively. We're showing you Giants offensive highlights here, but to be honest, Detroit's defense did enough to keep them in the game, and the Lions secondary has been playing well this year. Remember what they did against Drew Brees against the Saints. I say this year, really late this year, not early in the season. Either way, this should be a really exciting matchup that I think could go either way. So that's a look at what the season would look like if we ended right now, the postseason. But I want you to also know that I'm not going to be on your screen forever. See, just like that. I'm done. How about that? NFC playoff picture. Here we go. All right, Cowboys, Seahawks, they've got the byes. You see the Lions there and the Falcons. Giants and Packers are your wild cards. Now, you're in the hunt teams. Tampa Bay had the big loss at Dallas, but I think they proved a lot to people there. Minnesota, yes, they're still alive, although they shouldn't be after the shellacking they took from the Colts. And yes, even the Saints and the Panthers mathematically are able. But the team I didn't mention, the Redskins, and we're going to talk about them now. Redskins Bears, that game is at Soldier Field. And this is a big one because the Redskins came out absolutely flat. These two teams did play in 2015, but honestly, the situations were totally different then. They have not played yet this year. I look for Washington to rebound. They've got to be embarrassed the way they played against Carolina. As John Madden used to say, it looked like their defensive linemen were just catching blocks late in the game. Can't have dumb penalties either. Be interesting to see what happens there. Okay, Vikings-Packers. This is tough because Minnesota's playing at Lambeau Field. You see Matt Asiata there, but Adrian Peterson came back against the Colts, and it looked like the Vikings kind of catered their game plan around AD being back, and that might have been a mistake. I mean, the guy had been off for 3 months. Whether or not he came back from an injury early or not playing football for 3 months, you're going to have some rust. It'll be interesting to see if he can be a difference maker at Green Bay. Okay, Falcons and Panthers. Obviously, these are division rivals. They play each other twice a year, every year. But when they played earlier in the year, Julio Jones went off. I mean, really went off. And the game you're looking at here, San Francisco, Devontae Freeman was a huge factor. Now, let's be honest. Atlanta completely overmatched San Francisco. The 49ers don't have the personnel that even the Panthers have. Also, Carolina's secondary is playing better, but I still like Atlanta in this particular game, as we sit here today anyway. Okay, Buccaneers Saints, again, another division matchup. They played a couple of weeks ago in Tampa Bay. They made Drew Brees look very pedestrian, but if you watch Drew Brees play the Cardinals, he looked anything but pedestrian. If I remember right, 389 and 4 tugs for Drew Brees against the Cardinals. Usually only say tugs when you run for a touchdown, not when you throw for one. Just an interesting side note that you didn't need from me. That said, this is a great matchup. Tampa Bay's defense has been fantastic since Week 10. Can't wait to watch this one. Okay, and then Monday night. How about Lions and Cowboys? Now, we talked about the Lions playing the Giants. That didn't look good. Here's the B-roll of that game again. Unfortunately, not enough of this. And to be honest, Golden Tate up 1 week, down the next. Now, the Cowboys had trouble with receivers like Golden Tate. Think of Humphreys for Tampa Bay. You think about Jamison Crowder for the Washington Redskins. I could see the Cowboys struggling with Golden Tate. The question is Matt Stafford's finger good enough to deliver a win in the late stages? Because I think it's going to be incumbent on the Lions offense to make a drive at the end of the game and not settle for Matt Prater field goals. That's been a problem for them this year. Okay, let's look at the AFC playoff picture and the in the hunt teams. Of course, you see the Patriots and Raiders there at the top. Pittsburgh and Houston would be in today, and of course, Kansas City and Miami. But we've already talked about those teams. You're in the hunt teams. Yes, the Colts are still viable, believe it or not, but they really need to try to get the AFC South somehow. Buffalo Bills still viable, barely. If you have like a Stats 2 graphing calculator from 1996, you could probably figure out how the Bills will make the playoffs. That said, how about Titans Jags? Again, another division matchup. And by the way, this is something the schedule makers have done very well, people. Getting these division matchups backloaded at the end of the year. I know that your football palate is so wet for Tennessee Jacksonville. I thought I'd just let that hang awkwardly for a little while. Okay, Bengals Texans. Remember these games in the playoffs? Houston knocking Cincinnati out 2 years in a row. And you think, oh, that's the only time they really beat them. Not so fast. Remember last year? TJ Yates went into Cincinnati and TJ Yates, the Bengals. I know you remember that game. A couple big drops from Cincinnati, it killed them. Now, will they have those drops against Houston? Will A.J. Green play against Houston? That's really the key here as far as this game's outcome, because people that think that Tom Savage is just going to come in and save the day, you know, that's putting a lot of faith in a guy after 2 quarters of play. Although, still looking better than Brock Osweiler at this point. All righty then, Dolphins Bills. All right, I've already ended 2 of these game previews awkwardly. I'm going to just try and do it for all 5. Dolphins Bills, they played earlier this year. This game was in Miami. Nice uni matchup. That really has nothing to do with this segment. What does matter is that Miami won this game. Buffalo absolutely has to win this game. Buffalo doesn't win this game, they can kiss it goodbye. Who knows if Rex Ryan will be head coach? Who knows if they're going to, want to bring Tyrod Taylor back at less money? All sorts of things to sort out there. Yes, I know he's under contract. Please don't send me a bunch of Tyrod Taylor tweets. There you go. There's 3 awkward endings in a row. Okay, Broncos Chiefs. Now, this game was outstanding a couple of weeks ago. My only issue was that they called it a defensive slugfest. And Mark Dolgarian, why don't you look up what the score was of that game? I think it was like 30-27. That's our researcher. He's sitting here with me. Here's the thing. Kansas City's home field advantage has not been as big a home field advantage as you would think. They lost to Tampa Bay a month ago. They just lost to Tennessee. And if they get caught in a track meet, they're not really built to catch up. But here's the great thing. Denver's offense, they may be scuffling with the defense, but they have no punch. 30-27. I was right on that. How about that? Okay, 5th game we want to look at here. Ravens-Steelers. Baltimore has been able to play well at Heinz Field before. Don't forget the playoffs in 2014. People always talk about the Patriots game, but Baltimore had to beat Pittsburgh at Heinz to get to that game. Now, the difference was no Le'Veon Bell. There was Le'Veon Bell in this game that you're seeing. This is a midseason game that the Ravens defense dominated. Pittsburgh only had like 2 first downs heading into the 4th quarter. It was brutal. That said, this Steeler team is playing hot, and it's really the defense that's playing a lot better. Keith Butler has that group flying to the football. They're being stingy with the points. I think Pittsburgh's going to win as I sit here today, but you never really know with Baltimore, Pittsburgh, do you? And by the way, if you want to sort all these out and look at them on a page and not hear me explain it all to you, hey, NFL.com/playoffs.